female population, we would, you know, that part of us and tell us.
Can I get a mic check? Say your name.
Tanisha Gilliard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Good.
9.
Mr. Walker.
Pastor Kelvin L. Walker, Nashville, Tennessee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I can't count any higher than that. I'll start over.
And so what we'll do, we'll have.
Is that good?
Pastor Walker.
You good, Jason? Well, he has to go off headset. Okay. Good.
Well, we'll have you to introduce us to, you know, make some statements about Ms. Gilliard, okay. You know, Tanisha Gilliard, you see, and have her to talk about herself. Okay. But for the most part, you know, after we introduce the show, we'll have you to give us some information about your background, education, and experiences, and then you tell us how you came to know Ms. Gilliard, you know, and then that'll give her an opportunity to talk about herself, and then by that time we should be out of this first 6-minute segment, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some of the challenges of African-American youth. You see, I think they're the same challenges that we talked about the last time you were here, and that we've talked about for the last 12 or 15 times, and that I talked about to these young people who just left. Some of the you know, they're all challenges, but I think it gives us an opportunity to make some statements in reference to some of the problems and some of the challenges that some of our young people are having dealing with various things in society today.
Now I know you're working with Gideon's Army. Is there any other organizations that you're working with as well?
I'm also with the Justice for Jefferson Street.
Right, okay.
And Black Lives Matter Nashville.
Okay, and what else? I know you're out there, wasn't you?
Yep, a little bit of everything.
Now, Ms. Gilliard, try not to move that chair.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry.
You got to stay here.
A nervous habit.
No, the cameras will follow the chair, the movement.
Okay.
And we'll get shaky results there. Okay. Now, Pastor KWalker and Miss Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is challenges of African American youth, and we're fortunate to have with us to talk about some of the challenges faced by the young African American youth, male and female, Pastor KWalker. I think that many of us know Pastor KWalker. He's been with us on many, many occasions, and he's also responsible for helping to bring to this show a number of individuals with special kind of information. And I think today, Pastor, after you make some statements in reference to who you are, why don't you say something about Ms. Gilliard, and then we'll allow her, after you make some statements, to sort of round up us off by talking about herself for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll have an opportunity to start this second segment of 8 minutes and talk about some of the challenges.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm Pastor Kelvin L. Walker, born here in Nashville, Tennessee, and of course, no stranger to comments with Dr. James Haney, been on here numerous times, just to talk about various challenges and things that in different areas, basically different various topics. And I'm just glad to be here today to talk about some things concerning our youth. And of course, I got with me a young lady that's really active in doing some things and involved with various organizations, Ms. Tanisha Gilliard. And I met her through Gideon's Army, some work that she's been doing with Gideon's Army, which is a grassroots organization that advocates on behalf of the youth as well. So, and I'm glad to, to have her here to talk about some of her experiences and some of the things that she's dealing with in terms of Black Lives Matter and Justice for Jefferson Street and some of the other things that she's dealing with, as well as her work with Gideon's Army. As again, I say I'm no stranger to your show, Dr. Haney, and I'm glad to be here, and I just really want to hear from her because I know she's got a wealth of information that she can share with us.
Very good. Ms. Gilliard, why don't you give us some information about your background, your education, and some of the experiences. I think we've got about 4 minutes before this segment ends for today, and so take as much of that time as you would like to talk about your background, to give us sort of an overview in terms of who you are and how you became involved with what you're doing and some of the programs that you're working with from that perspective.
Okay. First, I want to say thank you very much for the invitation to speak on your show this morning or afternoon. My name is Tanisha Gilliard. I was born in Oceanside, California, which is in San Diego County. I got my bachelor's in cellular and molecular biology from LSU in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I am here pursuing my PhD in biomedical research. I got involved with activism, community advocacy things when I moved here to Nashville, maybe a few months after I met Rashida Fatuga with Gideon's Army. Like Pastor Walker was saying, it's a grassroots army for children where we really focus on identifying and attacking the root causes of the school-to-prison pipeline through restorative justice practices, both in the schools, in the communities, and in the juvenile court system. I'm involved in a lot of other community organizations, like Pastor Walker alluded to, really fighting the different ways that Black youth, Black adults, our community is affected.
You know, Pastor Walker, I think we've talked about this topic on many occasions, and I think that she introduced another thing that is quite popular now and or quite infamous as far as some people are concerned, Black Lives Matter, you see, and I think that it's within that framework that we want to try to give out as much information as we possibly can today in terms of what our young people must do and some of the challenges that are facing many of them and how they might be able to overcome some of these challenges. Absolutely.
But first, let me tag in behind what Tanisha was saying. You take a young woman that's actively pursuing her educational degrees and the like, but at the same time is taking time to deal with issues. Because I noticed when she said concerning her degrees, her field of study doesn't seem to
lend itself
with what she's actively pursuing in terms of working with Black Lives Matter and Justice for Jefferson Street.
Not directly, anyway.
Okay, but not directly, but you know, it's kind of tied in a sense. But you know, the thing is, what's impressive to me is that the point I'm making here is that it's her focus is not exclusively on just getting the degrees, but at the same time, while en route to the degrees, being able to advocate on behalf of others and work on behalf of others and making a difference in the lives of others. And that's, you know, that's what's impressive to me, because a lot of people, they get single-sighted and that's all they're looking at. And regardless of all the things that's going on around them, they still don't veer off into it and do anything about it. So I'm impressed by that. What she's doing in her activism.
Her whole idea of social consciousness, I think, is one of the things that sort of brings us to her in a real sense. And so what we'll do, excuse me, we'll take this first commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.
My first time on a TV show or in a recording studio.
And so let's start off
what you're doing, what you want to do, and all this
with the second segment, Ms. Gilliard, by giving you an opportunity to talk about some of the programs that you're involved in. I think you mentioned the fact of Gideon's Army, as well as Black Lives Matter and et cetera. I don't think that many of people know that much about the Black Lives Matter movement outside of what we see on television. And so as I think you might be the first individual that we've had on this particular program that is intimately involved with that organization. And so you want to, we'd like for you to sort of use as much time as you like to use to talk about that. And we'll have 8 minutes for this segment.
Okay.
And so you'll start us off, with this segment by talking about 3 or 4 minutes, and then Pastor Walker will make some statements feeding on what you have to say, and then back to you. And so we'll go through this for 8 minutes, and then we'll have a commercial break, okay?
I don't know if I can take up a full 3 or 4 minutes,
but
I'll try.
Yeah, you just talk. You talk with all those degrees that you have and all that studying that you do.
30 seconds.
Yeah, we're not going to let you get out of that. Just talk about yourself.
Yeah, I have a hard time doing that.
Way from California. Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Pastor KWalker and Ms. Gilliard in reference to some of the challenges of African American youth, both male and female. And I think, as we often mention, Ms. Gilliard, we might say African American youth, but we know that some of the things that we're talking about here applies to all ethnic groups and et cetera. And the reason we're talking about African Americans here is because we want to highlight that specific part of the population. I think you mentioned the fact that you're involved with the program Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Many of our audience might not be familiar with this organization from their perspective. So why don't you take a few minutes to talk about how that organization started and some of the things that that organization has been involved in and some of the things that you're doing in reference to that organization.
Okay. So Black Lives Matter as a network originally it started after the non-indictment of George Zimmerman in the Trayvon Martin murder. It started off just basically as a hashtag, Black Lives Matter, in terms of social media and in the news and things like that. But it really took off after the murder of Michael Brown in Ferguson with all of those protests, and there was a freedom ride kind of put together in the fashion of the freedom rides during the civil rights movement, where people from all over the country and even Canada came down to Ferguson to help the community to stage some more protests and kind of get the conversation going about the things that led up to all of this increase in police